Welcome to Astro Buzz on HollywoodAstrology.tv and the LeoKingApp.com, which you can get at the iPhone or Google Play Store. I am your host, astrologer David Palmer, the Leo King, and this is my show, Astro Buzz, where I go into all the stories, political, celebrity, world events, and combine it with the astrology and let you know what is going on. And another heavy heart for this week, for the week of July 15th of 2016, because it doesn't even feel like there's been a change in weeks, right? It just feels like the last couple weeks have just all been the same energy. And I'm going to discuss why, what's going on, and keep this very kindergarten. Number one, if you look up right now in the sky at night, you will see Mars. And seeing Mars right now in the sky, it's a red planet. You'll also see two other stars right next to it. One is Saturn and one is the star Antares. And we are coming into this really intense zone. This is also the cusp between Scorpio and Sagittarius. So we got Mars right now, which has done this really weird retrograde motion. If you don't know what that is, it's an optical illusion in space where it literally looks like Mars goes backwards. And what's happened is we've gone through this really deep, intense, inner, really powerful, deep transformation, seeing repression, having it all come up, anger stuff. It's been very intense. Mars is a malefic planet, and so is Saturn. So to see both of them hanging out in the same space, both on the cusp, both with the star Antares, which if you look at the star Antares, it is a star that has to deal with war and intensity and like uncontrollable aggression. That is why it is actually technically in the constellation of Scorpio when you do the precession right now. So it's a very intense energy, and here are the two most malefic planets. Malefic, if you don't know what the term means harsh, intense, scary, and you can just see it in the sky. And I've been actually saying this to so many people. I just had a PR call today talking to a publicist, and they're like, well, why do you understand what's going on and how you do things? And I was like laughing. I'm like, it's kind of funny. It's like right in front of people's faces. Every night you can look up at the stars and actually see what the hell is going on in the universe by looking up. It's not like God, hid everything from us. It's like literally you can just look up and just see, oh, there's the two malefic planets, and guess where the moon was this week? The moon highlighted it. And actually, if you're watching the show on Friday, go look up tonight. You'll see the moon right next to Saturn, and then you'll see it right where Mars was for the last 2 days. And that's why on Thursday we had the big, truck incident in Nice. That was right when the moon was on Mars. We had it quincunxing Uranus right in this really weird energy. Then Friday, the Turkish government goes crazy. And the build-up to this was everything that was last week, which had to deal with Mars, coming out of this retrograde motion. And there's been a lot. It's been so much repression. It's been so much about dealing with the malefics. And this isn't going away anytime soon, folks. I'm not saying that bad things are just going to constantly happen or something. But what it means is we're going through, really intense tests. And Mars isn't going to get out of this space until till Mars passes Saturn and then gets out of the same sign Saturn is, which I'm predicting at more towards the middle of September once the eclipses have finished. Because you got to remember, we got eclipse season coming up. It's about staying tough. Now, Mars in Sagittarius, which starts at the beginning of August, is a lot easier to deal with than Mars in Scorpio. But I will say this, the number one issue that is going on right now in everybody's lives is belief. Saturn is in Sagittarius. It is being squared by Neptune. I'm going to use a personal story to kind of help you understand what, how this is going. Like recently, of course, I've been trying to go on dates with girls and stuff. And some girl came up to me yesterday at the pool and was all like, oh yeah, actually I've seen you before. You're that astrologer guy. I would go on a date with you, but you're an astrologer. I'm a Christian. And I'm just like looking at her like, are you kidding me right now? Belief is the issue to the whole world, whether it's all the race stuff that's going on right now or even just everything. Like, you need to do research. Saturn in Sagittarius is about research and doing deeper things. Putting a belief in something without much behind it, especially with Neptune squaring it, this is people just believe in things without research. So I asked her, I'm like, well, do you even know anything about astrology in the church? And do you even know that all the way up until the 1300s, you can find astrological clocks and symbolism and pictures with Jesus all in all the churches up until about that time? And why is that? And, she just looked at me like I was crazy. Didn't even know where her belief came from, just was conditioned that way. And I think that we're realizing with repression and we're realizing with Saturn square Neptune right now, your belief, and I'm sure you're seeing it in your own life. Now, let's erase these crazy stories, and let's put our prayers out there to anybody that's been affected in any negative way with any of the stories, whether it's race stuff, whether it's police stuff, whether it's what's going on with terrorist attacks, whether it's going on with governments being turned over and you being caught in the middle of it with military coups and so forth. You got to realize you are in the middle of not a race war, but a belief war. You are not in the middle of a terrorist war. It's a belief war. Mars in Scorpio rules war, and it's in this space right now. So, but it's a belief war. And we are all being asked during this time to really make sure, and I'm going to challenge you on any belief you have in your life, if you truly, really believe, if you really, truly know that it's doing true good. The issue in the world is beliefs. By you not believing in something, and then, if you don't have a loose belief system, guess what's going to happen? You become rigid, you become hard, and it becomes these hard boundary lines that people set around their belief systems, which is causing all these issues. This is an issue of belief. This is an issue of not seeing that there is not one way, there is not one gift to give somebody, there's not only one thing. There are multiple things. There are multiple things to look at and to be open. The whole lesson of Saturn and Sagittarius, which is from December of 2014 and 15 all the way until December of 2017. It's like you kind of got to see that it's mainly about being open, being flexible, being willing to see other sides, being willing to do some research of things that you've never looked at before, so you can see all sides. But that's, I think, the issue that is causing all this stuff. And if you want to go outside of just like the real reason and just go into just the astrology for the nerds out there that watch the show, that astrology, maybe you're not into astrology, but you want to hear the kind of crazy math. Yeah, Mars and Saturn are hanging out in the same spot. And whenever they hang out in the same spot, guess what? Shit goes down. Shit gets crazy. Shit gets intense. Shit gets hard. And then when you get the moon passing it, and you're dealing with Mars not at full speed because it went through a retrograde, so it's slow, and it's going over a shadow position. So we're in the sign of death, we're in the sign of destruction, we're in the sign of transformation in shadow, which literally has that. Imagine having they always say the shadow of death. Imagine the shadow of death going through a shadow period. It's like a double whammy. You're kind of like, whoa. But I think the big reminder with Mercury and Venus this week has been having to find love through all this. And you can't, the reason why Leo trines Sagittarius, right, or Leo gets along with Sagittarius fire is, if your belief system is not of love, if it ever puts that scorpionic boundary line or destruction, you fail. You fail. You do horrible for the planet. We're so worried about environmental things. We're so worried about what you're eating. We're so worried, and these are all beliefs too. I believe you should be vegan. I believe you should be a meat eater. I believe you should be this. Like, there's no, it's so crazy. It's like, I believe you should not smoke. I believe you should smoke. I believe you should, when everybody is just like throwing up all their beliefs and all their repression and it makes them feel better. It makes you feel better when the belief kind of attaches to you and you're like, yeah. But you know what the issue is with that is this is the ultimate test to realize, are you holding on to a belief, something that you haven't done much research with, maybe you were conditioned into it, and more importantly, are you completely blind to where it's actually taking you, what it's doing to you, and what kind of boundaries you're drawing with people in life. And we're seeing this around the world, we're seeing this in every direction, and where people are being radicalized or anything, it's a belief system completely unresearched, completely almost like with Neptune squaring it, it's like feeling like there's some calling towards this belief, but this belief could be totally off. You got to watch yourself. You got to remember to ground yourself. You got to remember to bring yourself back to earth. And that's what this period is. And so it is not a race issue. And you know how funny with Pokemon, the game too, that's out right now, right? This is another big top story. It's at the same time, people are just kind of like wanting to, because Sagittarius was adventure, I'm just going to go adventure in some weird little land. That's totally Saturn square Neptune. But like, what about like adventuring in your life? Maybe about going and taking a venture. It's kind of like people that are like just trying for quick escapes to escape the hardship and the truth and the hard work, because at the end of the day, let's erase all the stories, individually speaking, and that's what I do as an astrologer. So if you don't have my app, and I do this every day, videos like this every day to help you what's going on. The whole thing is Mars and Saturn conjunct with all this stuff that's coming in the sky, which you can go look at, especially with the star Antares, is teaching you to be a warrior and stand up for yourself and learn to love yourself and learn to bring positivity and bring hope. Bring beliefs that bring hope, but they still got to be somewhat loose. You can't have a belief be stuck. Belief is based upon the mutable sign of Sagittarius. Mutable means change. Beliefs need to always be on a constant change. And we can use any religion, whether it's Islam, whether it's Christianity, it always changes. If you think the religion is the same thing and it's been the same thing over and over again, you're crazy. It changes constantly. So, it's your own perception. And when you're dealing with everybody going through perception craziness and then drawing their boundaries upon those, are you drawing boundaries upon unresearched, lost belief systems that you really don't know much about, but you know what, you're just like doing it because? Or you're convicted behind it? These are convictions that come up. Do research, especially if Saturn opposed Gemini, right? You got to do your research. With Saturn square Neptune and Pisces, you got to make sure that you're not misguided. With Saturn square Jupiter in Virgo, you know, you got to like get the details. You got to like look at your history. Saturn in Sagittarius is do your history. And right now with where we're at in the world, it's important for you to keep your belief system in the right place and not lose yourself as all your shit comes up and spew it on everybody else, especially with your beliefs. There is no belief that is right. There is no one way that is right. It is impossible. Impossible. Remember that. And pray for everything that has happened. That terror attack was horrible in France. This issue in Turkey is horrible. The issues that we've been going between on both sides of the aisle with police officers that have died and with, you know, racial segregation and deaths upon it is horrible. The only way that I can look at this from an astrological point of view is saying we got to toughen up with our beliefs and make sure that we know how to be hopeful, open to others, and open to all options, open to all things. The second we believe as a person, a nation, and a world that one direction is the only way to do something, we will fail. That one religion is the one religion, we will fail. Because the age of Aquarius is about learning that all of us are unique in the one. We all are a unique color in the picture. What is the one thing that is of one is that we are all in it. But we are all unique. Every single person. So the second you ride the train, then I'm like everybody else, or I'm like this 1 billion people that believe this, or da-da-da. You know what you do? You're part of the reason why it's all being crazy. Last thing I'm going to say, and then we're going to do a political story on Donald Trump and his VP, Mike Pence, which believe it or not, I'm kind of like on the fence of whether or not he's still even going to pick him or not. But I will say this. How else do you think the universe does a wake-up call and wakes you up to life, to spirituality, and to wake this world up? I said this today to a PR person. All these events are happening because the world is going through a wake-up. And how else are you going to wake up 7 billion people? I guess you could say, I'm not going to just say Christianity, but even other religious, predictions have always been this second coming. The second coming is more or less the second coming of awakening a whole species to a higher and more beautiful dimension that has mystery to it, but connects us all in a beautiful way and keeps us open to multiple ways. How else is the universe going to do that when people are so stuck in their rigidity and believing that their way is the only way? I will see you on the next segment. Want the most inspiring, fun, and dynamic horoscopes delivered to your phone every day? And we do it all on video with text message notifications. Download and subscribe to the Leo King app now and wake up to astrology like you've never seen before. Welcome back to Astro Buzz on HollywoodAstrology.tv and the LeoKingApp.com, or you can get it on the iPhone or Android store. I'm your host, astrologer David Palmer, the Leo King. And so let's do a political story real quick before we end today's special. And Donald Trump looks like he's picking the VP Mike Pence. Now, I've done Mike Pence's birthday, and boy, oh boy, we got another Gemini. So it'd be 2 Geminis up there. It means there'd be 4 of them up there. But anyways, kind of interesting. They have some similar traits and then they don't. The similar traits they have is they both have Sun-Uranus aspects, right? Mike Pence has Sun sextile Uranus. Donald Trump has Sun conjunct Uranus. So they both are very unpredictable, especially together. These two are just going to be like very innovative and create new things and do things differently, but they are going to be unpredictable. Let me tell you that. They both have Mars and Leo, so they both are warriors. They come from the heart. Mike Pence, though, has Mars square Neptune. This guy has great ideas, but doesn't know how to push them out there right. He is a loose cannon in many ways, in my opinion, especially with Uranus conjunct his Mars, and he's got Venus on there. He just will push whatever he wants without thinking of whether, and what's funny is he actually is misguided in his own spiritual beliefs. Like, I'm doing this because God's telling me to do it or whatever, and it's probably way off. The whole bathroom incident, I mean, come on, dog. You know what I mean? I really kind of just like feel, a lot of people are saying that Donald Trump didn't go with his gut. And I think this will be Donald Trump's test, because I think this is a bad pick for him personally. They're too similar, even though they're saying they're so different, but spiritually speaking, they kind of are similar. They might have it just in different ways that you can't see. But they drive the ship kind of the same way, and they both, I think for this, they're a little too similar. And Mike Pence was born with a new moon. I don't know his time, so he's either got a moon in Gemini or a moon in Cancer. It kind of feels more like a moon in Cancer guy to me, to be honest. I think he's really like home and family emotional, which would go good with a lot of Donald Trump. Donald Trump's got some Cancer stuff. But they're a little too similar in the astrology. The thing about Mike Pence, though, is, man, this guy's a loose cannon with misguided direction and always kind of off when it comes to his identity, and misguided on how he's putting behind it. So you could see this guy totally turn into a crazy person just out of nowhere, and then retract and go, oh, shouldn't have done this. And I'd be careful with somebody like that. So kind of interesting. We'll see. I don't know. Donald Trump's unpredictable himself. He might not pick Mike Pence. We'll see. Anyway, thanks for joining me on another edition of Astro Buzz. I'm sending you lots of love and lots of light, and I'm hoping that you spread it through the world. And remember to keep those beliefs open and not rigid, and more importantly, loose. Because this is a time where you need to, like an earthquake that comes, not be so secured in the ground or you'll break. Make sure that you kind of have a little bit of looseness and ready to go wherever the wind blows. Thanks so much, and I will see you next week.